Hello guys, welcome back. Today is Friday, so happy Friday everyone. And just yesterday we had the ECB interest rates decision. I have a few things that I want to talk with everyone, but widely expected 25 base points cut, the ECB marginal lending facility 25 base points cut, and the deposit facility rate for June as well, 25 base points. So everything widely expected. Okay, nothing really changed in a sense of the rate decision. And if we look at Euro had a pretty, it's funny because I literally say that would happen and that didn't happen. But anyway, so if we look at Euro dollar in a sense, we're looking at 1.14477 at the moment, but after the rate decision we had some quite of volatility, a little bit only, and then afterwards when we had the US data, the initial jobless claims came in much higher than what was expected. The consensus was 236,000. It came up at 247,000, but the good thing is that the previous was revised down, so it's good because it's less jobless people in America, and that is revised down to 239,000. Not too sure what was the number previously. And then a bit of mixed data in terms of unit labor cost, non-farm productivity, trade balance, and continued jobless claims. But what was most important afterwards was the ECB press conference. So after 30 minutes, we had the ECB press conference. And that was really, really important for the euro because euro, markets saw that very appealing and start to buy the euro against the US dollar. So euro raised all the way from 1.14 pretty much, all the way up to 1.15. Okay, so that's a 100 pip move in less than, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 30, 1 hour and a half, all right, 1 hour and 15, 1 hour and 20, 1 hour and a half minutes. That was quite surprising for myself because, what Lagarde say is really interesting, and that's exactly what I want to chat with everyone today. But before we go any further, guys, I just need a help from everyone. Please subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up on this video because I know it's very informative, and I know if I look back when I was starting to trade, that maybe some of you, some of cases here, it would be really great to have someone telling me what is happening on the market, into the macro, what is going on, and everything else. And I'm this guy, so I'm giving free content, free videos here every single day for everyone. Okay, so make sure that you guys don't miss any part of the market. Also, the Telegram link is on the description, so just go to the description, click into the Telegram group and join me, and make sure to click join into the Telegram, otherwise you're not going to be inside of the Telegram. Cool. Right, so let's have a look at what Lagarde actually said about a few topics Lagarde said about. Okay, so I have a few notes here, and I really want to start and make that very clear. Okay, I always mention that the rate decision was already factoring into the market, so don't try to trade the rate decision. Spreads will be high. Market makers will step off too much uncertainty. Other thing is too much risk as well, to less reward, uncertainty on the market. So I prefer to trade the actual, when the ECB or whatever, the Fed, the BOC, they go into the press conference, okay? So the first thing here, and I want to make sure, to get rid of the way, is the inflation forecast has been revised lower. So the ECB trimmed the projections for the CPI, so the inflation, and is now forecasted to hit 2% by 2025, this year, and then it's falling to further 1.6% in 2026. So pretty controlled, okay? So remember last year they've maintained the rates higher for quite a while until they do cut. And inflation was like at 4%. So that was pretty helpful to maintain the rates higher. Okay, the next thing is the trade tensions. Okay, so every central bank is talking about the trade tensions. Everyone has a problem with the trade tensions at the moment, because it's not only one country that is affected, has been affected, it's the whole world. And she highlights that there is growing global trade tensions, and notably the US tariffs is a significant downside risk for Europe as well. And then she emphasized that the policy decision will hinge on how those shocks the market materialize into Europe. Okay, so very important to see if any more surprises from Trump gets hit into Europe. Cool. And then the two things that is being most important is the easing cycle nearly concluded and the data-driven cautions approach. So when she means that the easing cycle nearly concluded, she basically shift in the tone. Okay, so the rate cutting cycle is nearing its end. That's what she say, and they've been putting the inflation forecast down. It shows to me that okay, they're pretty confident into inflation pulling back down. Also, they're pretty confident as well that the rates are pretty much finished. And she says there is, with the markets pricing now with only one more cut by the year end. So we do still have maybe 3 to 4 meetings from ECB, and those maybe 3, if we have 3 meetings, 2 will be the pause and 1 will be a cut. If we have 4, 3 will be a pause and 1 will be a cut. That's what Lagarde has said, and that's what we have to expect from the ECB. On the other hand, the market is a very data-driven, and it's very cautious approach at the moment. So she's underscoring that the future decisions will remain data-dependent. So no matter what she said about, there's only one more to be done. If inflation maybe keeps going higher for some reason, for trade tensions or tariffs, anything related to that, that will be a little bit tricky to do only one more. Maybe they will have to do 2 more and hold for higher. Cool. So that is pretty much what has been going on into the ECB yesterday. Today is another day, and we have the NFP. Okay, so at 10:30 p.m., we're going to be having the release of the non-farm payroll, unemployment rate, and the average hourly earnings. So those 3 reports are very important. Not only 1, not 2, but the 3. Okay. So the non-farm payroll for May is the consensus at 127,000, and the previous of 177,000. So is expected to have a big decline. Okay, the unemployment rate is at 4.2 from previous 4.2, so no big change on that. And the price and the average hourly earnings at 3.7 from previous 3.8, so 0.1% lower than what was previously. I guess what we could see here is a lower NFP. Okay, so a bearish US dollar. That's the most sensitive scenario that I can see for tonight. So yes, higher euro dollar, higher Australian against the US dollar, lower US dollar GDP, US dollar yen, higher pound dollar, and a few other currencies. So I guess that's what we'll be taking in, but not because of the NFP, but because with the Fed. So if we have a lower NFP, that is showing that the economy is slowing down, and therefore the Fed will continue to cut more aggressively. Okay, so there are only 2 cuts predicted for this year, one in October and another one in November, I guess, somewhere around quarter 3, quarter 4. And it's 25 base points each. Okay, so 50 base points for the whole until year end. Maybe those 50 become 75. Okay, if we have a lower NFP. If it doesn't become 75, then the 25, the 50 will become closer. Okay, and therefore we will maintain 50 base points cut for the year end, but more closer to the date that we are now. The average hourly earnings is expected to decline, but the unemployment rate is expected to maintain pretty much the same, because the Fed has been saying that into beginning of this year that it would be 4.2% for quite a while, okay, between 4 to 4.2. So it's under the metrics. So there's nothing too huge happening at the moment. So I guess this will be pretty much the case. And then, of course, if that happens, market will precipitate more cuts and more dovishness from the Fed, therefore a weaker US dollar. All right. We've come to an end for another video, another week, and hopefully everyone could have something to grab and go home and study. If you're not too sure yet what can possibly happen, if you have any questions, put down in the comments. I will make sure to answer your questions when I have some time. And also, happy weekend, everyone. I hope you guys have a good weekend ahead. It's a bit freezing here in Sydney, but I guess we may have some good time during the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Monday we won't be here because it's a public holiday here in Australia. It's Queen's birthday, so we will be closed, all right? But we will be back to normal on Tuesday. All right, guys, thank you so much. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, enjoy the Telegram. I see you there. Always see you in the next video. Bye-bye.